Hello, this is Stampy Longnose, and welcome to a Counter-Strike Global Offensive gameplay commentary. I'm playing a game of Demolition on the map Sugar Farm, and this is one of the very first games that I played on this map. I was still very much learning how to play the games. This isn't like the utmost best gameplay that I've got. I do have some more games saved, but I'm kind of going through them in chronological order, so you see me getting better rather than seeing me getting worse. So as I say, I'm still sort of learning the game mechanics and the map drawing this game, but I do manage to do pretty well and I get quite a lot of kills, especially in this early round. But the reason why I decided to use this gameplay is because it's got a bit of a story to it. There's a few twists and turns. As I say, we start off doing very well, we win the first few rounds, but then some of my team stop playing and I have a few AFK players and we start losing, they bring it back, and in the end it ends very close and you don't know who's going to win at the end, and I think it's quite an exciting end to the game, and for that reason I decided to use this gameplay rather than just a more standard generic gameplay. But as I say, I do have some more gameplay of me doing better once I know the game more, so if you do want to see more Counter-Strike Global Offensive, make sure you stay tuned to see that gameplay. But I'm not going to be talking about the gameplay too much in this commentary anyway. Instead, what I want to be talking about is gaming's master race. And what I mean by that is the sort of elitist attitude that you get from a lot of PC gamers when going through things like YouTube comments and forums and stuff. There seems to be a general consensus from a minority, I suppose, of PC gamers that they are superior in some way to sort of other gamers, people that maybe play on consoles and stuff. And you can understand why this is when you look at things like the PC and see how it is better in terms of its processing power and it's easily updated, you can use a mouse and keyboard and stuff. You can kind of understand why there are a few gamers that kind of think that they're somewhat better than other gamers because they're playing on a PC, and I can understand it if they're saying that, oh, my game is better than yours on the PC. I could understand them saying, look, I'm playing Battlefield 3 on a PC. It's better than your console version. You can simply have more players. You can use a mouse and keyboard. There's more maps. There's all this other kind of stuff that's with it. And you can understand why PC gamers do kind of feel like they've got the better end of the deal. But what I don't like is the idea that the actual players, the people themselves, people say that, oh, PC gamers are more mature, they're nicer, they're easier to get on with, they're more easygoing, they're, I don't know, more sportsman-like, and I just simply don't think that's true. I mean, okay, you go into play like Call of Duty on the Xbox, every now and then you are going to come across a 10-year-old who's just going to be talking trash and annoying everyone, and okay, I mean, I say every now and then, that is a pretty regular occurrence, but you do get the same kind of stuff on PC as well, and you also get a whole load more hackers and people pirating and stealing games on PC and stuff, so I don't think that you can actually say PC players are better than console gamers. It's just ridiculous, and these rivalries have been going on for ages. It's not just between PC and consoles. You get it between PS3 and like the Xbox 360. You kind of get everyone hating on the Nintendo and the Wii and stuff, and you do kind of understand why that is, but I think every console and every different gaming platform does have its pros and cons, and at the end of the day, it's just down to preference. And as I say, it's obvious why people would say that the PC is better. I think the number one biggest reason is the processing power. The fact that if you've got a high-end PC, it's simply a more powerful like device than like a console, because the consoles are out of date, they're old technology. PC is updating every single year, consoles get updated every like 6 or 7 or so years, or in some cases like about now in this generation, it might even be going like quite a bit longer than that. So you can understand why PC people can kind of think that they're playing on the superior console because of that reason. And I just want to say now that I'm not in any way going to either camp. I'm not here trying to defend consoles, I'm not trying to defend PC, I'm not on either side, I have no bias, I play on my Mac as well as playing on the consoles, and don't laugh at me because I play on a Mac. So yeah, I don't care either way, but as I say, yeah, the PC is a more powerful system, and I could look at Battlefield 3 on a PC, then look at a console and think like, why would I want to play it on a console? Surely this is the best way to do it. Same with games like Crysis 2. But you've got to think about the money factor. Yes, you're getting something better, you're getting something that's more powerful and you can update it more regularly, but you're paying for it. With a console, I could buy an Xbox now for about 150 quid or however much they cost, and then I could be playing a whole load of games, loads of Xbox exclusives, without having to spend much more money. You know, I've already got my TV and stuff. With a PC, if you're going to get a high-end, like bleeding edge like technology PC which has got all of the bells and whistles and stuff, you're going to pay for it. So it's a choice. If you can afford that and you care that much about the graphical fidelity and stuff, then do it. Go buy the PC and be happy with it. Don't moan at other people that might be on a budget or simply prefer console gaming. That doesn't mean that they're not as good or they don't understand that PC's better. They maybe just can't afford it and are happy with just playing on their console. And don't forget that it's not just a case of PCs are more powerful than consoles, because it completely depends on what PC you've got and what components are in it. And actually, when consoles first come out, they're generally way more powerful than even the top-end PCs. You go back in time and look like when Mario came out, that couldn't run on pretty much any PC. Things like side-scrollers and that just simply couldn't run on a PC because they weren't powerful enough. The big selling point of consoles is, one, that they're user-friendly and you just got to plug it into your TV, then you're playing. And two, the fact that it's so good technology and got such good processing power for the money you're paying for it. If you paid to get the processing power that you get in an Xbox or a PlayStation in a PC, it would cost like 5 times the amount. So that is the big selling point of consoles, and I don't think that consoles are going to go out of date. As long as we're still relying on processing power in the home, as long as you're not streaming games with things like OnLive and that, I don't think PCs are going to go anywhere. And even though a lot of PC gamers may think that they're playing on the best system and have that elitist attitude, I think that console gaming has its place. It's a different place and it offers something different to PC gaming, but it doesn't mean that it's less or a weaker system. It just means that it's offering something different, often for a different audience. But there are other reasons why people would argue that the PC is the better version. A lot of people constantly talk about the input, the mouse and keyboard, and how that is the best way to play games. And a game like Counter-Strike, you shouldn't be able to play on a controller because they've got to use auto-aim, and using the analog sticks isn't the same, and there's not enough buttons to switch for your guns. And obviously the big one, the mouse, is a much more precise and accurate way of controlling a cursor rather than having to use an analog stick. And I do understand that, but I think that the mouse and keyboard is only better with certain games. And yes, a game like Counter-Strike, a fast-paced first-person shooter, the chances are they would do better than someone playing against a controller using a mouse and keyboard, because you have that precision and that speed of using the mouse so you can quickly aim and turn and stuff. And doing games like MMORPGs or like strategy games are going to be better on a mouse and keyboard, just because you have more buttons on the keyboard and you have like more precise control over what you're doing. And for that reason, strategy games have never really found a good home on consoles. There's been a few attempts, but none of them have worked very well while using a controller. But at the other end of the spectrum, I think there are certain games which are better to play on a controller. I think platforming games work very well on a controller. Also, racing games are good because you've got the precision of the analog stick for turning. You can sort of do a slight turn rather than just like a full massive turn, as well as also being able to use the trigger for shooting games, once again also for driving games. And the reason why I don't mind using a controller over a mouse and keyboard is because if I'm playing Halo on the Xbox or something, I know that everyone else in that game is also using a controller. Even though it might be better on a mouse and keyboard, and like a team of people using a controller against a team of people using a mouse and keyboard, the mouse and keyboard would probably win. Because we're all using a controller, it doesn't matter. We've all got the same difficulties and the same challenge, and at the end of the day, it's going to be down to our skill and our precision. It doesn't matter what like input we're using, as long as you can do on screen what it is that you want to do. So for that reason, I don't mind using a controller. Also, I can lounge around. I could sit on my sofa playing on my TV, and I could like lie sideways. I don't have to worry about having like a flat surface or a table or a mouse mat. I can sort of play just sitting down casually, just holding a little controller in my hands. I don't have to worry about having like a desk or having to play like with a mouse and keyboard on my lap, which I always find to be slightly awkward. So for that reason, I really don't mind using a controller instead of a mouse and keyboard. And the other big difference between the PC and the consoles is the exclusivities, the games that will come out on one device and not on other devices. And this is one of the big differences between PC and consoles. I think that there's more exclusives on the PC, basically because of just indie games and download-only games. I think there's a lot more games that are made from PC by smaller developers that don't necessarily need to make as much money to make a profit. But there are so many massive games that are coming out exclusively only on consoles, with things like The Last of Us and Beyond Two Souls coming out on PS3, and of course a big one for me, Halo 4 coming out exclusively on the Xbox 360 coming this November. So I think that there's exclusives on both sides. I think that overall, in terms of exclusives, the PC probably just about wins, just because of how much different it is to the other consoles. I think that, as I say, Xbox 360 and PS3 are very similar. PC is kind of out there. It's a little bit different, using the mouse and keyboard and other features that are exclusive to the PC. So for that reason, I think there are more exclusives coming out for PC and more quality exclusives. But the reason why I once again don't mind about having a PC is that general games that are coming out on all platforms available are generally better on consoles because that's where they're going to make more money. Because more people buy games on consoles that come out on every platform, generally the developer puts more time and develops a game for a console and then ports it to the PC. So for that reason, PC gamers generally sometimes get a bad end of the deal by getting a bad port of a game rather than a game specifically made for the positives of a PC. And that's not always the case. There are a lot of games which are optimized for a PC and are better on a PC. But I think that overall, because consoles dominate the market so much, so many games are made for consoles that they're always going to be a good, if not better, way of playing a game which is available on all platforms. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you play on. If you do play on PC, then be happy that you can afford that and that you are getting a better end of the deal for a lot of games. If you're not, you're playing on a console, ignore all of the PC elitists, play on what you want to play on. There's pros and cons to everything, and hopefully I've got that message across and not annoyed anyone in this commentary. But we're just about getting towards the end of the game. This is the match that we needed to win in order to win the game overall. If we had lost, the game would have ended in a draw and that would have sucked. But you see that we managed to win the game. And that's the end of the commentary. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you later.